Alright, so a few months ago it was leaked that there was some patents submitted by Glock for something that appears to be a carbine. And then the story went cold. We didn't hear anything about it. Well, there is a new break in the story. Crump actually broke it. Definitely subbed to his channel. Great, information, when it comes out. That's where you go if you want the story before everyone else has it. So basically, the ATF received a letter from Glock on April 27, 2020, asking about a specific carbine barrel, if it was a barrel blank, if that's regulated, if they could import them, because I'm assuming that they're having some sweatshop make them to keep the price down so they can make a cheaper rifle. And they were asking specific questions on, whether this was a barrel blank, what kind of importation, regulations, stuff like that. Crump will go into that story more on exactly what they were asking. The point is, there's definitely forward progress, and it's definitely looking like Glock is going to be bringing a carbine to the market. So out of all the information we got, what can we expect? Now, remember, this is just going off of the patents that were submitted and what's coming through the ATF, trying to get a rough idea of what this rifle is probably going to look like. First things first, it has an external piston-operated gas system. So what that means is it will have the option for a collapsible stock. So it'll probably look something like the Scar, where the stock can collapse. Because one of the advantages to having the piston on the outside is you put the spring in there, and then you don't need a buffer tube, therefore you can collapse it. Now I know on the patent that doesn't look like a collapsible stock, but I mean, hell, if I was the manufacturer, I would keep the patents and stuff like that as vague as possible, especially where I'm a major manufacturer, because that information is going to leak out there, and I don't want someone copying my design and going from there. So it's probably going to have a collapsible stock. The descriptions on the patent are pretty clear. It is going to be external piston operated. It is not going to be like the AR-15 where the piston is inside of the bolt. Next thing, in the patent drawings, and from what I've surmised, it's going to take AR-15 magazines, which is cool. And it's going to be chambered in things like 5.56, 300 blackout, that sort of thing. Will it have a quick barrel change? I'm assuming. This way you can switch out magazines, just because that kind of seems to be the law of new rifles. Any new rifle that really kind of hits the market, they have some sort of system to swap out barrels so you can go with different calibers. I'm assuming they'll take advantage of that, especially where this is their first attempt at a rifle. They're going to want to make sure to just knock it out of the park and hit all of the options, throw everything at the wall, see what sticks, and then further, what would you call it, like Mark II, Mark III, Mark IV, then they'll be like, okay, so they didn't really like that, or they want this different, so let's change this. But the Mark I, the original rifle, you can pretty much guarantee it's going to have some sort of quick change barrel on there, but it does take the smaller size AR-15 magazine, so you're going to be limited to like 224 Valkyrie, 6.5 Grendel, 5.56, 300 Blackout, 6.8 SPC, 204, stuff like that. It's not going to be a big receiver pattern like the Scar, unless they make another variant that is a big receiver pattern. Again, we don't know. That can take like your 308 standard size projectiles. What else can we tell? It looks like a monolithic design. Again, they're going to keep the design vague, but because that's all the new rage is monolithic rails, and their patent does show a monolithic rail, it's probably going to have a monolithic rail. Again, like the piston system looks very similar to the Scar, but instead of like the Scar has a piston up here, and then there's a big bar that comes back, which you can see, maybe. It looks like this whole thing is going to be a piston, not a long stroke like an AK where the piston stays attached to the bolt, but like this is your piston cylinder, and then your piston's right there, and it catches the piston, and then the bolt would move free. So that'll be a new design on pistons. I haven't seen anything like that before. There's probably something out there, because there usually is. As soon as I say it's a new design, somebody's like, no, check out the AR-22 on blah, blah, blah website, and you'll notice that it's a very similar design. So it's probably a new system, because I haven't seen anything like that before, but that doesn't mean there hasn't been some sort of attempt or something like that. As you'll notice in the barrel pictures, it is going to lock inside of the barrel, just like your Scar, AR-15. It's a proven design that works, so why wouldn't you use it? What else can we pretty much guess about the rifle? It's going to be heavy. Now, not heavy compared to rifles, but heavy compared to AR-15s. Like a stripped down, bare bones AR-15, they're usually like right around 6 pounds. This thing's probably going to be like 7, 7.5. Just because of all the mechanics in the piston system, the monolithic rail, how the receiver's cut, because it looks really similar to this receiver. It's probably going to clock in at like 7.5, close to 8 pounds for an AR-15. Will that take off in the market? I don't know. With the new ammunition ban on 7.62x39, there are going to be a lot of people looking for something different than an AR-15, but also shoots 5.56. So maybe that's the right time to come in with this rifle and it's really going to take off because people like to be different. Is it going to go in any military programs? I don't know. If it is, well then you can guarantee it's got a monolithic rail and you can guarantee that it's going to have some sort of quick change barrel system so you can shoot multiple calibers. Will it be worth it? I don't know. Is it going to be expensive? Well, they're importing the barrels, so obviously they're having them made really cheap. It does say on the barrel description, though, hammer forged, so it will be a quality barrel. Will it be chrome lined? I don't know. We'll have to see. These are all questions I can't wait to have answered. But one thing we can guarantee is it's... Well, we can't guarantee, but one thing that we can probably guarantee is it's going to be heavy, it's going to be a monolithic rail, it's going to have an external piston system, and it's going to be uglier than shit. Unless the finished design is way different than the patent blueprints, that is one ugly rifle. We'll have to see. Will it come with backup sights? I'm assuming, because Glock has always been really good at making ready to run out of the box. And I'm assuming they'll do the same thing with the carbine, so you should be able to pull it right out of the box, insert magazine, and go to work. So there'll probably be something like what the Scar has, where it's already got sights right on the rifle, so you don't have to put on glass if you don't want to. You can run it as is. Again, though, we're going to have to wait and see. But this letter to the ATF does prove they are going forward with it. They are at the point of manufacturing or importing parts in. So they're most likely past prototyping, and now they need parts to come in so they can start building rifles, because prototyping you could do right in America. You could turn that out on a lathe, make a single one-off type, and you could prototype it. When you need to start importing is when you're going to bring it to the market, because you want to import to keep the cost down so you can sell the rifle for cheaper. Prototyping, that's not necessary. You can literally make it right here in America, turn it here because the price don't matter because it's just a prototype and you're not looking at what price you can sell it for. So again, this will be interesting. It'll be nice to have another carbine out there that we can pick from. I think it's going to be pretty similar to the Bushmaster ACR, or that's what it looks like from the drawings. Again, we don't know. Like, the drawings don't even show a collapsible stock, and I can guarantee it's going to have a collapsible stock, because why would you not have a buffer tube then? The only reason that I would not want a buffer tube is if I wanted a collapsible stock. And because it doesn't have a buffer tube, well, pretty much guarantee the stock will be collapsible. It'll be cool too to see, like, if they try to go like what Bushmaster did and go with polymer rails. I don't think they will because of how poorly Bushmaster failed on that. I don't think any other company is going to try to repeat it. So this whole upper receiver should be aluminum if they're going to stick with what works. And I'm assuming they will, because Glock doesn't really venture outside of the what works box, as we've noticed for the past, like, what, 40 years? They've been making the same crap over and over and over and over again. So I'm assuming upper receiver will be aluminum. They'll probably have a polymer lower. It's probably going to be between 7.5, 8 pounds bare without ammo, which kind of sucks because the AR-15 now has a huge advantage over it, but it'll be different. It'll be nice to see what they can bring to the table. Anyway, don't forget to sub to Crump. If you'd like to help support the channel, got my Patreon down there. I also have a link for my Amazon store where you can pick up this shirt right down in the description. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.